clear on what you need to be working on and kind of what's the whole process of it all. So start off, case competition as a whole, we work with top companies and we ask them something that's real and relevant that's happening to their organization. So we've done many case studies in the past, and everything is solving something that that company is currently facing. So right now, City Furniture has been very successful. Large furniture buying with commercial organizations, also obviously family home buyers buying. What they're interested in is tapping into the apartment rental kind of population and thinking a little bit about our millennials and Gen Zs who have different needs or necessarily will use other kind of brands such as IKEA onwards for their furnishing needs when they get to their first apartment. So the big thing they're going to be tackling is City Furniture wants your assistance in developing and understanding the apartment rental market better. So there's going to be a lot of research beforehand. And this research can come from your own online research, articles, focus groups, surveys, being able to take a look. There's a lot of students here that do apartment rentals. Focusing primarily on the millennial population. So basically, City Furniture wants to find out the average of how long the millennial market typically rents for. Do they usually do 1-year leases, 2-year leases? They want to know a little bit about the price range and market for how much they're willing to pay for an apartment. How much do they spend on rental furniture when they get it? Do they buy their furniture? Do they rent it? What would make them buy it over renting it? What would be the price range that really fits into their needs? What's the style that attracts them? And guys, this is a smart way of start thinking about other competitors and yourself. Like if you have your own apartment, where did you go? Did you go to thrift shops? Did you go to companies like City Furniture? Did you use companies like IKEA? Why did you choose IKEA maybe over these? Serving students on those same things, trying to figure out what was it, the intangibles or the variables that are getting you to kind of go after that. But they do want some research on that. So they want to know a little bit about what was the average rent total, what were the pieces of furniture they were most interested in for their homes. What is it, armoires, couches, coffee tables. Why were they interested in buying over renting? How much do they expect to pay broken down as percentage of the rent they pay? So how do they want to pay? Like if they were buying furniture, do they want to pay in monthly installments, financing, cash, credit? Getting a little bit of an idea of what that's going to provide them. Now, how you come up with getting them to buy into it, that's where you can come up with your own thing. Rewards programs, specific college programs. Guys, this is, as much as there's giving you details of what to do, it's a blank canvas on how you're going to solve the issue. The biggest overarching thing outside of giving them information on the renters market is helping you provide them details on how you would solve their issue with getting more millennials to use their services or their products. And it's a blank canvas how they do it. You might provide recommendations where they're like, well, that's not something we're going to use, but they really want to know specifically what's the best pitch in that sense. How long do millennials keep their furniture if renting or buying? Does the amount of time change if renting or buying? What type of style do they are most favorable to them? So you're going to prepare a presentation and show like stats and data on how you arrive to this conclusion. How are you going to plan to market and attract millennials into this new program for City Furniture? And have other companies done to attract millennials? So I think looking at other companies, El Dorado Furniture, IKEA, I know I've mentioned some already, think about how they attract millennials. And around this time, you're seeing that marketing still happening because it's kind of still that back to school season, renter season. Beginning of every month is when these companies really do a lot of promotion at the beginning of these seasons. Please show how you are obtaining this info and where you're gaining these facts. So that's pretty much the basics of it. You're doing background research on the renter market. You're then giving details on what would entice millennials to get into this program. And then you have a blank canvas to build what this program looks like. It could be a specific section within City Furniture tied to millennials or tied to the renter population. But this is where you're really trying to give them details on why do millennials rent over buy, how much do they spend, how much are they looking to spend, what's the competitor market, what would be some benefits or attractive variables to kind of get them to go into this type of piece. So Any questions on that before I get into the process? I know some people walked in here, but we are recording this session, so, and afterwards I'm happy to answer any questions, but I don't know if anyone had any questions before I start talking about the order of operations, prizes, and kind of steps to kind of get signed up. Anyone? So then you have from today onwards to start developing your solutions. You could do it by yourself or with a team of 3 individuals. They could be undergraduate, MBA students, what have you. And the whole purpose, again, you're gonna first develop all your research, all your solutions, but you don't have anything due. The only thing you gotta do is before October 28th or by October 28th at midnight, you send me a short little summary of your solutions. It doesn't have to be fully completed. It's just letting me know you're on the right track and you're getting all your ducks in a row. The only other commitment after that is on November 14th. So after we get your summary, we'll reach out to you and ask you between 12 to 5 on November 14th, what time slot do you want? You're gonna be given about 12 minutes to present to the judges. So outside of developing all this research and solutions, you're gonna have to be effectively and efficient in how you're presenting it to the judges, because you have a short time frame. So it's just kind of like a Shark Tank. You're gonna have to get through your pitch quick and give them all the details they need. And then there's a 5-minute Q&A with the judges where they're gonna be asking you questions. We work with your schedule, so don't worry, we're not just gonna plug you in at 12 to 5. We're gonna find a time that works best for you. And then the announcement of the winner is gonna have shortly after 5 o'clock. Any questions on that? Yes?
Are we just competing with NSU students?
Just NSU students. So this is only an NSU affiliate event. We do 2 case competitions a semester, one towards pre-health, one towards business, but this is just for NSU students. And if you're an underclassman, let's say a freshman or sophomore, don't get discouraged that you're also competing with MBA students. Our last 2 business competitions were actually won by freshmen, and then we had another one won by an MBA group. But you know, a good idea is a good idea. No one in that stage is going to be asking, are you an MBA student, freshman? All they're doing is trying to figure out how your solutions can benefit their company, and the practicality, budget, and solutions that you're providing, is it realistic for that company's needs? Now, great prizes involved. First place team will get $1,000. Oh, I had a question?
Yes, if you participated before, can you participate again, and if you were one of the winners?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's no, every competition, it's a completely different case study, a completely different focus. So it's first come, first served to who signs up. I believe we have about 7 teams currently signed up, but it's first come, first served and everything. Right?
You may have answered this already. If you did, I'll just get answered.
Yeah, no worries.
So as far as the case study, the judges are going to be someone from City Furniture.
Exactly.
And is there a criteria for what they're looking for, or is it kind of just bringing our creative?
Your creative spin. As long as you're hitting the points that they're looking for, which kind of breaks it down here, of the amount of that millennials pay for renting, prices they usually spend on renting needs, and then being able to provide a budget or justification on the solutions you're trying to add to kind of tap into that millennial market. So if you're doing your background research, looking at definitely a SWOT analysis is going to be important, looking at the competitors' market, looking at the old City Furniture and how they're providing it, how do they compare, and what would be solutions to make them competitive. And it may be like they need to create a whole different branch within City Furniture. This is a whole untapped market. Usually millennials, that's not who City Furniture is getting as customers, so they want to know how can we change that. And I think I use IKEA as an example because that is a very millennial popular organization. What would get them to compete with the IKEAs of the world? Guys, any questions?
Besides being an NSU student, are there any other restrictions to participate?
No restrictions. 3 members on your team, providing the summary, signing up before we get to our max amount of teams, showing up to the presentation date. Those are really the only requirements of it. So really after today, and you email myself or Olivia, which has the instructions there, your team will be signed up. And if you start by yourself and wanna add team members, that's definitely doable. But it's really just, you wanna make sure that you get your solutions, your summary by the end of October, and then you come for the presentation on November 14th. Yes?
In our research, there are a number of questions that I have that are more internal. If that's more internal information that I need, is there an opportunity to, like, I wanna know more about, their financing program and whether that's in-house or, is it done through another company? Cause when you're looking at the financial aspect, you need to know those internal things.
Absolutely.
So how could I get that information?
So there's some questions you could provide to me and I could ask the company.
Okay.
And some of them, they might tell me, we know it, we want the student to do the research on it. Because there's gonna be some things where they're expecting you, just like other companies, to go to a city furniture store and maybe act like a customer and be able to ask these questions to kind of get that valuable feedback. But there are things like that that I could easily ask my contact there, and she will let me know, this is your answer for that, or we're not gonna answer that because we want it to be researched by the students themselves. But absolutely, any question you have, you could always send it to me or Olivia, and I work as the liaison with the company to make sure I'm giving you the information that's most necessary. And guys, let's say you need a wall to bounce ideas off of, Olivia and I are available for that. One thing is that we're very objective, so if I hear from one student, they tell me their idea and I meet with someone else, I don't give feedback on anything else I've heard, I'm just focusing on what you're telling me right then and there. I'm kind of the Switzerland in this whole thing, very neutral, but I understand to kind of give you guidance and feedback is really important. I'm happy to do so. I will also recommend using your faculty as benchmarks for yourself. And other students, I mean, think about it. You guys all have friends that are in that millennial population. You can get 4 of them and be able to get a little bit of a focus group or something like that going. Be creative on how you want to get to your solutions and your justifications. But I think that's the key part, creativity. Now you are going to be judged in that presentation, not just in your solutions, how you're presenting, so your presentation style, the details of your presentation, and again, the practicality of your solutions. Any questions, guys? So I mean, the case is pretty detailed in itself, but again, as you go through it and you want to ask more questions, we're always available. I do recommend signing up before the end of today if you're interested, just because we have an info session now and then another one at 5 to 6. We're up to 7 teams. I believe we can facilitate up to 14 to 15 teams, but we're trying to fit as much as possible into the schedule.